Hello, everyone. I'm here with Jana. I'm Dave Johnson with Man in the Moon. I'm here with Jana. Jana is just a great channel. Everybody can learn to channel, and Jana has. So she's an example of what we can all learn to do. But again, she's something else, right? The point today, of course, is, you know, we're trying to move a little bit away from the political to the more spiritual and internal questions. And I think that's an important thing. And we're going to go crazy if we do nothing but politics. But at the same time, just like Jana, I need answers to these questions. Why are these political things happening in our time? And so these are going to be our questions today. And it's really funny that Jana and I have the same exact political questions. We've written them down. We want to know what the spiritual meaning is of these questions. We don't just want to know what's happening. We want to know what the meaning of it is. So understand there's a point where politics and spirituality really do combine. And as we, work on this, we both agreed that we're going to do our best not to judge anyone, not to be unkind. So you ready, Jana?
I am. Thank you, David.
Great to see you. Let's start here with of course, Trump, right? Now, Jana and I had a lot of time here to trying to get our egos out of the way. How do you do that, by the way, Jana? How do you get your ego out of the way?
Yeah, well, first, that's always my prayer when I first go into a situation. On Earth, we do definitely need an ego, to function here. But in channeling, especially to make sure compassion comes through, we do have to sort of internally, I like to actually see a movement of a mass aside, when I'm asking, please place that aside, because yes, exactly, so that we can just remember we're all one, like the great master, the Zen master, Thich Nhat Hanh, the Vietnamese, wow, amazing. Not quite sure. Anyway, he showed up. But compassion and love. So sometimes our ego does get in the way, in a sense of, and it makes us more separate. And I know your whole purpose and mine is to look and to be at one, provide comfort, compassion, and at the same time, try to find out a greater understanding. And I know that's your quest too, and you've been doing a marvelous job.
Thanks.
Always. It's all you have a beautiful form.
Thank you very much. All right. So you feel like you're ready for the questions? All the ego.
Sure.
Me too. Okay. I'm trying to, even as I ask this question, I'll try to put it aside. All right.
That's right.
So here's the first question. And that is, why do people go for Trump?
Okay. And I'm trying to get the deepest understanding. First of all, I think the hook, at what we would call in music, a good song, there's always a hook in it, it brings you back to the rhythm. So with Trump has a hook. I don't think he planned it, but his hook is, hi, I'm just a plain guy like you guys. I talk plain, I can be coarse, I'm not a Harvard grad, and I don't have that exquisite pronunciation of things,
Right.
And so people, and I want to say commoner, okay, and that's not a judgment at all. It's just the common everyday people like you and me. But I think he somehow can put on that face, can say those common things that make people feel at ease. One of the gang, kind of thing. So I think that's his hook. But he's anything but.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, it's true. So does spirit give you any messages? Like what's clicking in the person's brain, the Trumpist brain? What do you think? I'm gonna kind of channel along with you and see if we can't find like what is it that humans are missing that makes them go for such a person?
Yes, and I'm going to put on my glasses. I was downloading some things earlier, so please pardon me because I did just write some bullet points. And the thing that is remarkable, Trump was involved in this timing into a perfect storm. Everything, COVID, him, obviously it wasn't an accident. All of this, as you've said before, many people are aware, he has come upon the scene as a catalyst for us all to wake up. Wake up. Many of us were asleep. I know I was. I was comfortable. No muss, no fuss, business as usual. And he shook the world. Again, it's not him, Trump. It is whomever or many whomevers are surrounding him. I call him the puppet in this. I'm not sure who the puppet masters are. I don't think anyone would ever know. I think it's many, but somehow he's become the face of it all. And they keep saying that Trump thinks he was above the law. I wanted to add a clarification to that. And he doesn't think he's above the law. His premise is that there is no law. There is no law. There's only what he wants to do. And the fact that he's without any boundaries, I think logical boundaries of morals or the right things to do, consciousness, and so on. He's the perfect person to cause chaos. And so that came through. I also think that there was this trifecta. Let me rephrase. I'm not thinking this. This was some of the things that came through during the channeling. And I want to make sure that we've said our ego is put aside. So I don't want to say I think. So Trump, COVID, and most importantly, this whole period of disinformation was the trifecta of the defeat which imploded our society. Astoundingly, we kind of retreated into our assumed safety of small familial groups, which is what he tries to put forward. We're just you and me, we're tight. We just go down to the corner cafe and have some fried potatoes. He puts that out there, and people are lonesome. They are disturbed. They are lost. They don't know what to do. And he has that face of let's get us all together. And so because of COVID, then we had the restriction of not being around each other, of hunkering down. Now that also was a fertile ground for people to revert to old superstitions. Okay, so we're and no critical thinking. When people, and the main thing is fear.
Right.
So when we're afraid, we go down into our base nature, our base the core of, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Some of the variables there are our, like I said, the familial roots of our upbringing, our society, what is right, what is wrong. It puts us down into that fight or flight, just not really knowing what to do. So our higher thoughts, our endeavors to use critical thinking, to bring in more morals, to observe each other and our community as a whole, as one, we tend to start splintering off. And that breaks us apart.
Right.
So then we get conspiracy theories. Conspiracy theories, and those again hook back into those old superstitions. Don't ever change the calendar to the next month if until the last day of this month, that's bad luck.
Right.
Throw salt over your shoulder, those kind of things.
Right.
So it puts us in this difficult place where our highest mind is not functioning very well. Then the fear starts, and whoever the great puppet masters are, this is exactly what they wanted. They wanted us all to be at odds with each other, to be fearful, to split apart, and then we began to war with each other.
Right.
And what you were putting forth initially when we started this was to say, we want to come back together. It's an effort to come, we want to support people, we want to make people feel better. But no one right now has all the answers.
Yeah.
We may never, but we're trying to figure it out. There is so much distrust and rampant fear, and we also this quandary of why do people side with such illogical actions. We see intelligent people, we presume, are intelligent, that in our Congress, in our parties, Democrat, Republican, Independent, everyone. We've always looked to people in our government as, that they had the answers, they would fight for us. And we see now this separatism that's going on. So it's harder for all of us to trust.
Yes.
So the trust has broken down, disinformation has started, and everything begins to really tear apart. Just like you and I had spoken before about anti-vax, people that didn't want that. Again, that relates to trust, and people urging each other, don't believe in science, or and again, it goes back to the whole old argument of creationism versus Big Bang Theory,
Right.
So there's so many moving parts that it's like we're kind of in this situation where we're running down a street, or we're in, let's say, a water that is flooding, and we're all sort of flowing back and forth trying to get a hold of each other or get a hold of the side of the bank. And that's where the fear comes in. So if we can somehow bring ourselves back to find the core of peace, love always, if we can just meditate on or think of love, somehow bringing us back to some uniformity of thinking. And I'm hearing that that's what you've really based a lot of your teachings on, and that effort to teach others, hey, you can also channel, you can do these things. When we ask questions, you can receive answers as well. And you've gone above and beyond to try to simplify everything to help other people realize that they can do that. It's not just happenstance, for one person here and there. Everyone can do this. So I think the disturbance is we don't see a finishing of this person as Donald Trump. We see no action about punishment. We see nothing. So I think we're still kind of have our feet in midair.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that have come to you that you feel that makes you not be able to get to this answer?
Well, let me see, because that's a good question. I haven't really engaged in this way yet. Let me see just what I get right now. And I'm gonna look at my own question. Why do people go for Trump? I just get the universe is presenting us with a choice, right? You can choose this or you can choose this. And that is our life. We are all these choices, right? So humans have to choose. Now, it's not a time anymore where it's like, well, I don't have to choose. Humans have to choose right now. And they have to show who they really are. Life is not a passive act, it's an action. And so that's what I'm getting. And without judgment, we can just say some people will choose this and some people will choose that. That's their learning. We don't judge. Maybe in the last lifetime, I made the wrong choices and supported the wrong, people. There's no judgment per se about that. But yeah, people are choosing. And the universe wants us to wake up and choose in a way. Right. That's kind of how I get it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And having a stronger foundation. And again, I go back to if we look, the only thing I can ever figure out as a foundation is love. For instance, if we look at depression, and then we say, oh, we're depressed. Underneath depression is fear. Underneath fear is an attachment to a reality that no longer exists.
Good point.
So we get hung up on the attachment and then not be able to move forward. So if we just feel that love, which I think when you and I first started the session here, they were showing me you had this great big huge heart that was just beating, I think that's what we have to do. Come back to love. And I know in my previous meeting with you, that was the message coming through as well. And it sounds silly sometimes. It sounds, I mean, you can't, how can you make that work somehow with all
Right.
these difficult problems? But if we can have that as the basis,
Yeah.
no one can be angry, no one can be depressed, no one can be hating each other if everything is on this ground zero of this love, this whole essence of love. I just don't know. It's hard to stay there, in everyday life, we can go in and out of it, but we always have to keep that moment, like when we take a breath or when we take a step, we can always say, I'm home. I've
Right.
arrived. I'm here. I will take care of this love.
Great.
And then share that with each other. But I do not understand. I personally don't understand why we have so much disagreement about what happened on January 6th, so much about should people take shots or should they not? And Dave, I'm sure you remember, we didn't seem to have this problem when we got vaccinated as children.
Yeah. Nobody cared
I
about it.
mean,
Yeah.
I went through, we all had the mumps and the measles and sometimes, strep throat or, but we don't have polio anymore. We don't
Right.
have, hopefully, and it was never really questioned. We
Right.
weren't wondering if the Russians were going to implant us with this secret code to
Right.
follow it.
Right. It's crazy.
It's crazy. We just took the shots and guess what? We really had generations more of health because
Right.
of that.
Right.
You
Right.
know? So why now? Why now
Right.
is there so much distrust? And I think it all revolves back with this splitting apart. Whoever they are, wanted to see us split apart, to see us not trust each other, to see us question everything to the point where we don't know what the truth is anymore. So we don't trust the government. We don't trust anything. And now we have, what is that? In Canada, they have the truckers that are doing,
Right.
no, we're not going to do it. Freedom of our personal self, our personal body. Okay, great. But here's the question. Is it okay for those who don't want to take responsibility to make themselves healthier, to take advantage of a vaccination, and yet when they get sick, they run to the hospital and they want to be saved?
Right. Yeah.
Is that the highest good? Is that based on love? Is
No.
that
Yeah.
the height of selfishness?
Yeah.
So we're not thinking about our brothers and sisters of how can we stay well to help everyone?
Right. Right. It's entirely a selfish act. But let's think about this. Like, let's go to that first, and let's look at
Okay.
anti-vaxxers, and
Okay.
just like again, clear out, and again with no judgment. Let's ask the universe. Go ahead and ask if you could go first. Why are people opposed to the vaccines? What is it about? What's going on for them that they are anti-vax?
there's a deep need that is hardwired for us to be sovereign,
Mm-hmm.
to within our, not have anyone or anything come against our core. And in the situation of the vaccinations, people feel like, some people, rightly so, can feel like, well, that's, if you tell me I have to get a shot or a vaccine, that's coming against my rights. And so then it's easy for them to stand on these righteous boxes, let's say, and preach and get everyone involved and get hundreds of people all churned up in this fear. By golly, we're not going to give up our freedom. And I get that. I totally get that.
Mm-hmm.
When I worked in healthcare for 25 years and we took our vaccines and everything. I had taken, I think it was hepatitis B or something, that it's a 3-shot thing. When I got to the second one, I got horribly ill. I had a reaction to it. And I got, all kinds of stuff. Some kind of asthmatic situation. So I became afraid to take the third part of that. So I don't know if my titer got established against that. But anyway, it did. I'm saying that from a personal standpoint, to point out that there are situations where people have a fear or question about putting something in their body or getting vaccinated. So it's a core survival. I think that's the point. But again, then we go back to our ability as humans, as educated humans, to use our critical thinking and our logical thinking. And I think that's maybe what's missing, is because there's so much fear right now. What it blows, fear and anger. I think there was a Native American saying something like, fear and anger are the lights that, fear and anger are the result, and it blows the lights out of my mind. So in other words, you're incapable of having those critical thoughts. So I think that's the core issue of the people thinking my sovereign self, my ability to be me, is being challenged by these vaccines. If we could, and we understand that, you understand it, I get it, we've been in those situations from time to time. Should I take this shot or should I take this medicine, whatever. Choice, freedom, all of that is very near and dear to us. But then we get to the situation where we think, what is for the highest good of all? Then we have to think, science, which sometimes can be a difficult word for many people, has indicated and has done studies now that when we do take these vaccines, it does work. It does reduce the possibility of people being so ill that they have to be hospitalized and go, on breathing machines and so on. So I think that's the main problem, again, is fear of some outside force taking over me and telling me what I have to do.
Right.
I think that's the main thing. But we have to all rise above that and say, okay, it's true. We do have that freedom. We want to protect that freedom. But really, if we just take this shot, that has been proven to help so much, that would help everyone in our communities, in our society. As you had mentioned, in Australia, it's you have very few in relation to how many we've had here in the United States. So it is, if we could think, and pardon the analogy, but I remember in Star Trek, Spock having been had some big decision he had to make, and I remember him saying, well, the good of many outweighs the good of one. You know, and it's true.
Yeah.
So if we could all fight this together,
right,
and let go of our fear, that somehow we're being overtaken, it then gets into that conspiracy thinking that is just a hotbed for insanity.
Yeah, it really is. It's destroying our society. This massive amount of disinformation and emotional manipulation, right? So
Right.
we had another great question, and that's, this week the Republicans signed the letter claiming that the attack was normal, January 6th was normal social discourse. And I'm kind of interested on two levels. One, maybe you could tell me what the level of the politicians who are doing that. What are they thinking? What's going on that they're doing that? What do you read on that when you channel?
Oh my gosh. That is a difficult question. What are they thinking?
Yeah.
What are they thinking? They're not thinking. And it becomes almost impossible for us to even hear or read the announcers saying, this was normal discourse. It's almost like somebody saying to us, when we look up and we see the blue in the sky, they would say to us instead, that's red. You know it's red. We all know it's red. You're silly. You're crazy. You need to go get glasses. We begin to doubt ourselves. So we ask Spirit again, what makes these politicians want to further this? I hear this word cockamamie.
Yeah.
Cockamamie thinking of it's a normal discourse. It's beating people and killing them and squishing them in the doors and hitting them in the head with fire extinguishers and beating them with the flagpoles.
Yes.
How is that normal discourse?
Yes. Yeah. How is that normal?
And so then we say, we look at the people saying that, and again, we try not to look at it in judgment. We say, what is it about those people that are telling us, and the whole world that's listening? This is normal discourse. They're wanting to say to us and to degrade further the fact that the sky's not blue.
Right. Yeah.
Cast dispersion.
Yeah. As I see it, as I literally see like politicians like this, like, let's pull this out. Let's see what's going to happen. And I just get the feeling that they're not leaders. They're not leading the country in any direction. They're merely following any shiny object that will get them more of whatever it is they want, which is a power position, a job, whatever that is. And I mean, again, it's hard to say this without judgment. I try to put judgment aside, but I just see them as just not good leaders. You know, a leader takes people to new levels. They don't go down to the
Yes.
lowest common denominator and take advantage. A true leader,
Oh, good point.
yeah,
Good.
a true leader would go, okay, you guys, and they would rally people, and they would say, okay, you know, I know we got problems with independence, but you know, this vaccine really does work. And I mean, I don't know about you, but the fact that I've taken the vaccine does not make me any more likely to believe the government, right? And it's like literally nothing to do with my politics. It is science.
Absolutely
Um,
no. You're
zero,
right. And
right?
I've been
Zero.
boosted on top of my 2 Pfizer shots.
Right.
Um, and I think eventually it will get to the point where it will just be a reoccurring virus
Mhm,
that we continue to fight
mhm.
um, and have and be get our yearly vaccine or whatever. But yes, I guess, are we saying then that underneath it all is these politicians, the lust for money and power overweighs everything?
Mhm,
I mean, is
think
that what everyone wants? Is that what they
I
all
think
want?
I think it's even more, you know, these guys have their own fears too. And one of them is a terrible fear of rejection. So it's
Yeah.
not just the money and power. What they're afraid of is that they'll go and try to lead and somebody will criticize them. I mean, obviously, Liz Cheney
Oh,
isn't afraid of that. She is fierce in her behaviors. I might judge her on other subjects, but you know, they don't want to put themselves out there and get criticized. They are a bit like children. Again, they're not leaders. You know, a leader would just withstand the criticism and, you know, say, yeah, sure, but this is what we got to do. There aren't that many people out there who are doing that. And I'm going to say there are plenty of people on the left who are also like that. They are just constantly working from their own fear. But
sure.
you know, not all of them. I mean, there's plenty of people on the January 6th Commission who are moving ahead. But you know, I gotta tell you, Liz Cheney made a comment that even the Dems are so afraid because they're afraid that they're going to get investigated if they investigate. And the person who's like, hey, come on, guys, is Liz Cheney, you know? And it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
I'd say that Democrats are always afraid. They're always afraid that somebody's not going to like it. And I understand that they're
Mm-hmm.
politicians, they have to run for reelection. But I just get that most of them live in fear, live in fear of losing a job, live in fear of not being able to make the house payment, live in fear of being criticized. You know, if you lose this job and you're no longer a senator, you know, then you got to go find a new one. There's just a major amount of fear for a lot of these people. You've been a politician for 30 years. What are you going to do next? It just feels like it's just fear. There are a few people that I feel are standing up with integrity. And a few of those are actually Republicans. But I wonder if we could just get back to one thing, you know, and that is the love you were talking about. And I wonder if we just like leave the viewers with some way, as like not so sad and depressing story of how we could, as individuals, move back towards fear or back towards love, not fear. And we as individuals could move towards the love that would actually help everyone. When you tune into their guides, you know, how is it that we could sort of recalibrate and stay and start working from a position of power, but also with love? What do guides tell you now?
I am being reminded again of the great Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh, who has just passed. He worked with also Martin Luther King,
Mm,
and um, also lived here in the United States, and also established Plum Village in France. And one of the things that Spirit is reminding again is this beautiful practice, let's say, and what would be many teachings of many spiritual thoughts, and his, of course, was a Buddhist. But if we treat our fears, our insecurities, our doubts, as you said, insecurities, I don't want to do this because people may not like me. Oh gosh, if I do this, they're going to laugh at me. Once again, what is that voice? That voice is the voice of the ego. And the ego can be, misled. It can be warped sometimes. And so if we look deeper into ourselves and find that love and say, with each breath, with each step, with each communication, if we can just go past, or let's say rise above that level of the ego, which we do need. We need a strong ego on this earth plane to survive. But let's go beyond that to the greater source, which is the basis of everything that is surviving, that is appreciation, honor, love. So if we can say to each other and to ourselves with each breath, with each step, with each practice, I am here. Feel yourself in your body. Feel yourself saying, I feel you. I feel this fear. I feel this this confusion about information, about everything. I feel this, but I am home. I am here. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to hold you, and I'm going to smile at you. I love you, fear. I love you. I love you, the people who strike out at me. I love you. I love you because we are one and we are together. And if we are so mighty together, what great things we can accomplish. And it starts in our own hearts, in our own minds, to practice this beautiful, just setting aside our ego gently with respect. And we don't hate the fact that we're scared, or we don't hate the haters. We just say, hey, I love you. I'm here. I'll put my arms around you. I will try to understand. I will listen compassionately. I try not to judge. And most of all, I love you, anger. I love you, fear. I'm home. I take care of you.
That's terrific, Jana. Just great work. That's really, really great stuff to hear. And I think that's a terrific way to end our video today. Thanks again. Now, if you all want to get a hold of Jana, I'm going to put her email address in the little subheading right here. Obviously, you can contact me for reading, and if you want to learn how to channel. But thanks so much again, Jana. It was just great.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you so much for all that you're doing.
Pleasure.
Okay.